Hello students, welcome to my channel Reaction House. Last day we discussed about the limitation of Rutherford atomic model, and we know Rutherford atomic model cannot explain the stability of an atom, and it also failed to explain the line spectrum of an atom which is shown due to emission. According to Rutherford's atomic model, the electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbit, and the centripetal force and the electrostatic force balance each other to give a stable orbit. But the model suffered from a serious drawback in view of the electromagnetic theory of radiation dominating at that time. According to this theory, accelerated charged particles should continuously emit radiations, and electron revolving around the nucleus is also an accelerated charged particle. So it should also emit radiation continuously, and the energy of radiation will be derived from the energy of its motion. So, as a consequence of this emission of radiant energy, the electron will gradually lose energy. Its distance from the nucleus will decrease continuously, and ultimately it will fall into the nucleus. This atomic system, explained by Rutherford, which would destroy it after some time. So, this problem of stability of the atom in Rutherford model was ultimately solved by Niels Bohr in 1913. He set aside the electromagnetic theory and applied the quantum theory of radiation to interpret the line spectrum of hydrogen. The Bohr's atomic theory based on three postulates. According to Rutherford atomic model, the electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbit, but he did not give any explanation about this orbit or circulation of these electrons. So the first postulate of Bohr's theory is electron cannot revolve around the nucleus with its choice. In a Rutherford type atom model, according to Bohr, the electrons can revolve around the nucleus only along certain selected orbits, and an electron does neither absorb or emit any radiations as long as it moves in such a selected orbit. As the energy of an electron in such orbits remain unaltered, such orbits are also called stationary orbit. So, according to Bohr's atomic model, when electron revolve in this stationary orbit, the energy of electrons remain constant. But Rutherford cannot give any information about this orbit. According to Rutherford, he just said that electron revolve in circular path or orbit, but Bohr explained that when electrons revolve around this circular orbit, the energy of electrons remains same, and the electrons does not absorb or emit radiation during revolving in such type of orbit. And according to Bohr's postulate, when electron revolves in such type of stationary orbits, the angular momentum of electrons should be an integral multiple of h by 2 pi, where h equal to Planck constant. It is very important. So according to Bohr, he said that the angular momentum of electrons, when the electrons move in such type of orbit, the angular momentum of electrons should be an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Now, what is the angular momentum? If we consider that the mass and the velocity of an electron is m and v respectively, and the radius of the orbit is smaller r, then its angular momentum will be mvr, where m equal to mass of electron, v equal to velocity of electron, and r equal to radius of the orbit. So the angular momentum is mvr. So according to Bohr, the angular momentum of electrons, which is equal to integral multiple of h by 2 pi. That means mvr equal to n into h by 2 pi, where n is a non-zero positive integer, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So from the first postulate of Bohr theory, we can say mvr equal to n into h by 2 pi. The angular momentum of the electron is thus said to be quantized, that is subdivided into small unit of h by 2 pi. So as the angular momentum is quantized, now the angular momentum can increase only by step of h by 2 pi. The integer n used in the quantization of angular momentum was termed the quantum number of the particular orbit. That is, n denoted as quantum number of the particular orbit. Quantum number means if we consider the first orbit, then its quantum number equal to 1. That is, n equal to 1 for first orbit. For second orbit, the quantum number of second orbit is 2. That is, n equal to 3. In case of third orbit or m orbit, the quantum number is 3. Subsequently, this n has been termed the principal quantum number. However, Bohr gave this equation, that is mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, but Bohr did not provide any satisfactory explanation for this equation, except that he explains the spectral lines so nicely. According to first postulate, we can say that mvr or angular momentum of an electron should be an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. The second postulate is when an electron jumps from one such selected orbit to another orbit, the differences of energy between the two states is emitted or absorbed in accordance with the quantum theory of radiation. Thus, when an electron jumps from an orbit with energy E2 to an orbit of energy E1, and if we say that E2 is the greater energy than E1, and the differences of energy between these two energy state is E2 minus E1, that is del E, is emitted in the form of quantized radiation. So we can say if there are present two energy state, that is U1 and E2, and an electron present at the ground state energy level, that is E1, and if this electron jumps from E1 to E2, then it absorbs energy from the atmosphere or from the other source, and this absorbed energy is equal to the E2 minus E1. Similarly, if an electron present at E2 state, that is higher energy state, and if this electron jumps into lower energy state, that is E1, then electrons emit some amount of energy, and this amount of energy which is emitted by electrons is equal to E2 minus E1. And if the frequency is nu for this emitted radiation, then according to Planck theory we can say E2 minus E1 equal to h nu, that is del E equal to h nu. So according to second postulates of Bohr, when an electron jumps from higher energy state to lower energy state, then this electron emits some amount of energy in terms of radiation, and this amount of energy is equal to the energy differences between these two energy state. Similarly, if an electron jumps from lower energy state to higher energy state, then this electron absorbs some amount of energy, and this amount of energy is equal to the energy gap or energy differences between these two energy state. So it is not possible that an electron jumps from lower energy state and this electron present in between these two energy state. So if an electron jumps, then it must be absorb some amount of energy, and this energy must be equal to the energy gap between two energy state, and after the absorption of energy, this electron may jump from lower energy state to higher energy state. So this is the three postulates of Bohr's atomic theory, and with the help of this Bohr's atomic theory we can calculate the radius of an orbit as well as velocity and energy of an electrons. So let's calculate the radius of an orbit with the help of these Bohr's postulates. We know when electron revolves around the nucleus in a circular path, there present two attraction force. One attraction force which attracts electron towards the nucleus, which is known as centripetal force, and other attraction force which act at the opposite direction of centripetal force, which is known as centrifugal force. So this centripetal force and centrifugal force balance each other to give a stable orbit. So for calculation of the radius of an orbit, we have to calculate this centrifugal and centripetal force. Let there present z numbers of proton in the nucleus, and each protons carry E charge. Then the total charge of the proton is Z into E, and as we know, the charge of a proton and charge of an electron is equal, then a charge of electron is E. So we can say the total charge of a proton is Ze and charge of an electron is E. So if we consider that one electrons revolve around the nucleus with velocity v, and the radius of the orbit is r, that means the distance between electrons and proton is r. Therefore, according to Coulomb's law, the attraction between these protons and electrons is directly proportional with the product of total charge of proton and electron, and inversely proportional with the square of distance. Therefore, the centripetal force which acts towards the nucleus equal to Ze into E divided by r square. Therefore, centripetal force equal to ZE square by R square, whereas ZE equal to total charge of a positive ion, that is proton, and E is the charge of an electron. Now, if an electron moves in a circular path with a velocity v, then centrifugal force equal to mv square by r, whereas m equal to the mass of electron and r equal to radius of the orbit. So we get the centripetal force, which is equal to ze square by r, and centrifugal force, which is mv square by r, and these two forces balance each other to give a stable configuration. Therefore, we can say z square by r square equal to mv square by r, and from this relation we get v square, and v square equal to z square by mr. Now, according to Bohr's postulate, we get the angular momentum of the electron should be an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Therefore, mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, whereas h equal to Planck constant and n equal to principal quantum number. So, from this relation, that is mvr equal to nh by 2 pi, we get the value of v, that is v equal to nh by 2 pi mr, and after squaring this equation we get v square equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square m square r square. So now we get two equation, that is v square equal to z square by mr, and from Bohr's postulate we get v square equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square m square r square, and after equaling these two equation, that is the value of v square, we get z square by mr equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square m square r square, and from this relation we can easily calculate the value of r, which is n square h square divided by 4 pi square mz square. This is the value of the radius of an orbit, and the radius of an orbit equal to, that is r equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square mz square. Now we can calculate the velocity of an electron from Bohr's postulate, and from the previous relation we get v equal to nh by 2 pi mr, and you know this equation comes from the z square by r square equal to mv square by r, and from this relation we get v equal to nh by 2 pi mr, and you know r equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square mz square. If we put this value of r into the previous equation, then we get v equal to nh by 2 pi m into 1 by r, and if we put the value of r, then we can easily calculate the value of v, and the value of v equal to 2 pi z square divided by nh. This relation explains the velocity of an electron which is revolved around the nucleus. So this is very important. And the last one is energy of an electron, and you know an electron in the atom possesses two type of energy, that is kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic energy by virtue of its motion, that is, a kinetic energy of an electron produced due to its motion, and the potential energy produced due to its attachment to the nucleus. And if we want to calculate the total energy of an electron, then the total energy of electron is the sum of these two energy terms. So, for calculation of energy of an electron, we have to calculate this two energy, that is kinetic energy and potential energy, separately. So first one is kinetic energy, and you know the kinetic energy equal to half mv square, and if we put the value of v square, then we get kinetic energy equal to half m into z square by mr. This z square by mr equal to the value of v square, which we calculate previously. Second one is potential energy. The potential energy of an electron in an atom is calculated with references to its position at infinity from the nucleus. That means if you want to get an electron from infinity to the nth orbit, then the total work done equal to potential energy. So at this point the potential energy is assigned 0. That means the potential energy is then given by the total work done in bringing the electron from infinity to its position in the orbit of radius r. This is very important. So the potential energy is given by the total work done. So we have to calculate this total work done. So the potential energy given by the total work done in bringing the electron from infinity to its position in the orbit of radius r. So the force involved in the Coulombic force of attraction by the nucleus, and the Coulombic attraction force equal to z square by r square. So the total work done equal to, we have to integrate this value with respect to dr, and after the integration of z square by r square, we get the potential energy, which is minus z square by r. This is the value of potential energy, and previously we get the value of kinetic energy, that is half m into z square by mr. So for calculation of total energy, we must summarize these two energy, that is potential energy and kinetic energy, and we get total energy of an electron equal to half m into z square by mr minus z square by r. Here we use minus because in case of potential energy we get negative value. So after calculation we get the energy value, and the energy value is minus 2 pi square m z square e to the power 4 divided by n square h square. Here n equal to principal quantum number, h equal to Planck constant, m equal to mass of the electrons, z equal to numbers of proton, and E equal to charge of electron. So this is the value of energy of an electron which is revolved around the nucleus. So for hydrogen atom, as Z equal to 1, because there present only one proton, so the energy of an hydrogen atom equal to minus 2 pi square m into 10 to the power 4 divided by n square h square. Here we use negative sign in the energy value. The negative sign of the energy expression is very significant. this is very important. Why negative sign used in energy expression? So this negative sign of energy expression is very significant because this negative sign implies that electron is actually bound to the atomic system by this amount of energy, and if the electron is to be freed from the influence of the nucleus, and the work equal to the magnitude of E has to be done on it, and this is known as ionization energy. That means if we remove electron from the orbit, then we have to put some amount of energy. This energy is equal to minus 2 pi square mz square e to the power 4 divided by n square h square. If the principal quantum number of an atomic structure increase, then energy of the orbit also increase. Therefore, the orbit which is present nearest to the nucleus have lower energy, and if we move from the higher state, then energy of the orbit also increase with increasing of principal quantum number value. So we can say K shell have lower energy than L shell, and after moving from KLMN, the energy of the orbit also increase. So today we learn about the Bohr's atomic postulates, velocity of an electrons, radius of an orbit, and energy of an electron. Okay, thank you.